Dr. Rohit Modi, he's a practicing VR specialist from Mumbai. His specific area of interest is disease reversal through plant-based diet. And he's going to talk on a very underrated and very unexplored link between ophthalmology and nutrition. So over to you, sir.
Am I audible and my slides seen?
Yes, sir. Yes, perfect.
Yeah, thank you. So thanks Yossi and AIOS for the wonderful opportunity. Again, I would like to thank these people who have influenced me a lot in my journey in nutrition. Now, what made me get interested in nutrition? I got a 57-year-old gentleman who had uncontrolled DM and had come with bilateral macular edema and with the PDR. He got multiple intravital injections over a period of a few months for diabetic macular edema and underwent PRP. Now, when we look at the literature, we know that there is a high risk of acute myocardial infarction and cerebrovascular accident in patients who have DME. The risk is significantly high as compared to patients who do not have diabetic retinopathy. It is nearly 3 times. And over a period of few years, this patient was, sincere. He would follow up regularly with me. He underwent coronary artery bypass grafting. He underwent renal transplant. And there's another patient, a 36-year-old gentleman who had come, with the bilateral macular edema, severe NPDR. He was undergoing dialysis every other day. He had his toes amputated because of the gangrene, and recently he underwent diabetic vitrectomy also in one of the eyes. He was lost to follow, so the disease had progressed. Another cousin of mine who is in early 20s, morbidly obese, came with style. I just got his random blood sugar, it was 368, and on further investigation, he had proteinuria. So there was something which is a missing link. I am treating these patients with respect to the eye, but am I just an eye doctor? Can I do more for my patients? Because I know that they are going to progress to something which is going to negatively hamper their whole lifestyle. Disclaimer, I'm not a dietitian or a nutritionist. I'm still exploring the whole field and there's no financial interest. So I came across this wonderful paper by Bernard et al., which was published way back in 2005. It was an NIH grant study where he compared a low-fat vegan diet, that is a low-fat plant-based diet, to a conventional American Diabetic Association recommended diet. And he found out that, within the 74-week period, there was a greater weight loss in the low-fat vegan group, significant glycosylated hemoglobin changes as compared to the American Diabetic Association recommended diet, lesser cholesterol levels, much lesser, and risk for coronary artery disease reduces significantly. Now, what was the participants asked to do? Avoid animal products such as dairy and meat, avoid processed foods and added oils, favor low glycemic index such as beans and green vegetables, increase dietary fiber and complex carbohydrate. Now, this is very important. Once we increase this dietary fiber, the absorption of fat and carbohydrates reduces significantly, and reduce total and saturated fat was very important. Mind you, portion sizes were not restricted. That is the most amazing thing. When you go for a whole food plant-based diet, you do not need to basically curtail your portion sizes. Your appetite itself will auto-regulate to control the portion sizes. And these are the three things which are very important: eliminate animal products, eliminate processed foods, and focusing on consuming plant-based diet. This concept is highlighted even in Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine Power Plate. If we take a good combination of all of these, almost all nutrients are we are able to take in, except vitamin B12 and vitamin D3. Vitamin D3 is a sunshine vitamin, and vitamin B12 is produced by bacteria. So they are as such not originally present in animal sources. Now, Now, this is an interesting case. When I was exploring this field last year, this gentleman, came with I ended up advising him anti-VEGF injection. For some personal reason, he said he is not willing to undergo intraocular injection. So I handed him out a meal plan, which we usually do for all our patients. I told him, if you're not doing anything for the eye, let us just put you on this kind of a diet. And during that same time, I had come across a paper in which they had actually shown reversal of pulmonary hypertension, diabetes, and retinopathy reversal also, or adaptation of this kind of a diet. And well, we all know that hyperglycemia is a major cause of all the microvascular and macrovascular complications, which increases the reactive oxygen species, ultimately leads to low-grade inflammation and endothelial cell damage, which ultimately leads to retinopathy and macular edema. One of the key components, which when we have raw salads, especially raw green leafy vegetables, is that they have high contents of sulforane, and these are very, very effective antioxidants. They have anti-inflammatory action. They reduce the oxidative stress. Many pharmaceutical companies are trying to extract that to make it into a supplement. Why not get it from the original source itself? And the one which we recommended to our previous patient was a combination of green leafy vegetables, flaxseed powder. Flaxseed provides unprocessed oil fat, which helps in absorption of carotenoids from these green leafy vegetables, and also a fruit to add to the flavor. And bingo, 1.5 months later, surprisingly to me, the edema was gone. Though still in my practice, I do advise anti-VEGF. That is the mainstay of treatment for diabetic macular edema patients and other patients. But I do believe that nutrition has a very big adjunct role to play. Well, when we look at the data from...
But the time is up for this session. We have to move on to the next session. I'm really sorry for this. Because we have the next session starting at 11:30. We've already exited like 4 minutes of this session.
Sure.
Really sorry, we have to stop this session here.
Sure.
Yeah, just
no problem. Thank you.